I wanted to give you an update on my fig trees that are starting to set fruit. I have six fig trees, and two of them are starting to put on a good sized crop. Before I get started with those, I'd like to show you how these recently planted trees are doing. These were planted in the ground 4 months ago. They put on a little growth since. I was hoping they would have been a little bit further along with more branching, but they are doing well. The leaves are all healthy looking, so I shouldn't complain too much. The one in the front is a Peter's honey fig. And in the back there is a blackjack fig on the left. And an Excel fig on the right. The Excel hasn't developed the main crop this season. It has put on some good branching, but no main crop so far. Same is true for the blackjack fig. It too has put on a little branching, but not as much as the others. But however, it's still doing well. The Peter's honey, on the other hand, has not only put on a good amount of growth, but it has a small main crop that is starting to develop. When these trees were planted back in February, all had either started or were getting ready to develop a Reba crop. Only the Reba figs from the blackjack and Excel tree reached maturity. The Peter's honey fig started to develop a Reba crop, but it eventually dried up and did not fully develop. Sometime in June, the figs were harvested. The flavor from the Reba crops of both the blackjack and Excel fig tree was fair at best. They were not as sweet as other figs I've tasted, but it was good. As for the size of the figs, both were large. Here is a pic of the Excel fig. When ripe, the outside remains with a shade of green. From research I've done, this tree is not bothered by birds as much as other figs because the fruit blends in with the foliage and is somewhat camouflaged. The inside is light color with hints of honey color towards the center. And here's a blackjack fig. As you can see, this one was a bit larger than the Excel fig. The inside is dark flesh. Both of these figs were juicy, and I'd just like to add that as far as the flavor goes, I believe the flavor will be better on the main crop. Figs require plenty of sun and heat to develop good flavor, so the figs that developed in early spring didn't get as much sun as the figs that are starting to set in this main crop, so the flavor should improve. The first of the two fig trees that are setting a good sized crop is this one that I have growing in a 15-gallon container. The nursery I purchased this tree from had it listed as Little Miss Figgy. This tree is supposed to be hardy down to 10 degrees. It's listed for outdoor growing in zones 7 through 10, It's a dwarf variety and supposed to reach a height of about 4 to 6 feet. This variety branches out low to the ground, which I'm not particularly pleased with. This one will probably be transplanted to a larger container in another season or two, but I won't be putting this one in the ground. I want to keep it as a container growing tree so that I can keep the low branches and developing fruit off the ground. As an alternative, I might build a planter that stands at least 16 to 18 inches tall and leave the bottom portion open so that the taproot can go deep into the ground and still be high enough to keep the fruit off the ground. I still have time before I need to make a decision on this, so we'll see. Anyway, I lightly pruned this tree when it was dormant in order to stimulate new growth. I'm sure it helped stimulate more fruit production as well, because this is about the heaviest crop this tree has ever set. I've had it for about 4.5 years. Last couple of seasons, it produced a fair-sized crop. Last year, it produced somewhere around 20 or so figs. This season, it looks like it might be bigger. The figs off this tree are good size with a sweet flavor. Next up is my black mission fig. This one is growing in a large container. I've had this tree for about 3 years now. I'm not particularly happy with its growth. I pruned it this last winter when it was dormant. It did put on a little growth, but not as much as I was hoping for. I'll likely prune it again next winter. I may need to cut this down to about 3 feet and hope that it branches out. I'd like to keep it in a container, so hopefully giving it a heavy pruning will produce much more branching than what you see here. It's putting on a small crop again. It's never produced much more than what you see here. Until I can get this tree to branch out more, I probably won't see much more than this. The few figs that it has put out are good size with good flavor. Hopefully I'll be able to get this tree to produce a decent sized crop someday. And here's the second tree that I was talking about that is putting on a good sized crop. Save this one for last. This one is called a Celeste fig. It's also growing in a large container. I've had this tree for a little over 4 years now. It's been a steady producer. I lightly pruned it when it was dormant and it put out some good growth. I do believe this will be the largest crop yet. There must be over 100 figs on this tree. Considering the size and the fact that it's growing in a container, that's a pretty good sized crop. I don't expect all of these will reach maturity. I'm sure we'll drop a few. This is a fairly large container, but I'm sure it's restricting the roots, so I doubt it will keep all of these. The figs off this tree are very sweet and juicy. It's among my favorite tasting figs. I'll be sure to post a harvest video on this one as well as the others as soon as I start to pick some fruit off the trees. Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. As always, stay safe, grow your own, and thank you for watching.